If you disabuse yourself of hate, then you would know that African sexuality has always been diverse. What the global village has done through the internet is simply to unveil this for us. You don't want to miss the interesting conversations on demystifying the African sexuality podcast. The Das Podcast.
To part 4 of episode 4 of the Das Podcast. My name is Black Pepper. Now, feminine presenting boys constantly get picked on and bullied at schools, and masculine presenting girls suffer the same. This is irrespective of their sexual orientation. Could you speak words of affirmation and encouragement to them? If possible, tell a story. Do you have any scenarios? Have you any friends that have suffered such scenarios as well?
Yes. Like, I've been literally a victim one too many times, and it's gotten so bad that I literally had to change who I was for a moment. And I don't want to go into the story, it's quite depressing, but yeah, I believe somehow, as time goes by, you realize that you are equipped to handle this situation. And a lot of the time, the help that you're looking for comes from within you. It comes from you. So for me, I'll just tell them, find an outlet, and a creative outlet, or something that puts you into action, sports, the arts, something that really puts you there, and excel at it. Because as soon as you start excelling at something creative that gives you an outlet, the background noise fades away. Even the bullies start looking at you like, wow. They'll throw a remark at you, but then you have a number of people coming right in there to say, shut up. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, if you've gone to Ugandan school, then this is a real big problem. Because for starters, these are young kids who get stereotyped just because of the way they're presenting themselves. They are exposed to adult ideas. They are deprived of their innocence just because they're different. A difference that would not be there if we didn't have these norms and boxes on where everybody should fit. Yeah, I went to school with one, I remember the name was something like Enoch something. Enoch was a straight femboy, and he was all over the place, and he was always smart, always smelling great, always associating with the girls, and this gay agenda was pushed on them. And last week we talked about the key tax, and like you say, they have to perfect something for them to be free, for them to be happy. It's very, very sad that people can get picked on for identifying or for expressing themselves differently. Just what you believe in and how I feel are two different things. And it should be, actually, I feel like schools should actually work harder on that. These are children. When we are at school, we are still children. And we are not supposed to be involved in the sexual world and put into certain boxes of who we could be, who we are going to be. I will grow up. I will find out. Please don't tell me. For the message for those people, all I can say is that no matter who you are, where you're from, what your color is, your gender identity, just speak yourself. Be yourself. Speak more love upon yourself. And every day that somebody speaks themselves, it makes the world a better place.
Yeah, I actually think I have a story. So when I joined primary school, I had no idea about anything at all, as just a child. And it actually really started with the teachers, pointing out how very female-like I'm coming off. Then the kids started to point it out. And then before I knew, there was an emergency assembly. Talk about bad timing. And guess what was the issue? homosexuality. So apparently some guys had created a group and blah blah blah. It all seemed so fake and so far-fetched, and then they rounded up a couple of boys and severely punished them, and we watched, and I just kept wondering, what is happening? Why are they punishing these boys, and for what? And for the longest time, no one could clearly explain to me what had happened, because even the teachers vaguely, explained the thing, until I actually got to have a conversation with one of the boys who was punished, and then he explained it to me, and I'm like, oh wow, so this is what everyone has been calling this, that, and that. But it also got me realizing that they were really punishing the wrong people. Because by the time I got to know about that conversation, I had already had some interactions with other people, and we knew what was what, and I was already really exploring. So when I got to know the other boys that were punished, it was nothing. They were just in a weird kind of friend group that looked fishy, and people made up stories, and and they got punished for it, and very badly. Meanwhile, they were really punished badly. Their parents were told. I do not know what else happened to them, but yeah, school was insane.
Yeah. Actually, I think I also believe in the let the children be children agenda in a different way. Leave the children alone. Teachers should go to school to teach. It is not your place to tell my child about sexual activities and sexual orientation. Because, for example, the people who are punished, they ended up finding out. You get it? When this whole fighting homosexuality agenda came and there was a lot of noise, do you know how many children found out about things they shouldn't have been finding out? Because as parents, we should be ready. I should prepare myself and talk to my child about sexual activities and what goes on in the world. Now we have pedophiles hiding in agendas and motions and trying to meet our children. You're trying to talk to our children about homosexuality. No, let children be children. I agree with that. Let them find out what they want to find out. Let the parents be parents and children be children and teachers be teachers. Because why would trans women have to be fighting right now why would the heterosexual community be fighting trans women that they are pushing the trans agenda on children? You are the ones telling the children about it. You're the ones telling children are innocent. They love everyone, no matter who they are. They love anybody. You're the one telling them that actually this one for them they're different. So,
but I also kind of believe that children see. Yeah. There is nothing as crazy as a baby who is going to point you out in public and be like, "Oh, yungalingo mchala." And they always do.
Do you know Rachi uyo mwana ali mugamba yonga alingo omukyala cause already bamusomeseza abakyala bo beisa bwe bati.
Yeah, exactly. So
abana mubaleke bakule obongo bwabwe bwe deciding because if we've noticed one thing, if somebody hurts a child, you will see the energy of the child around that person. If somebody is harmless, omwana asigala yeisanga omwana. Anyways, that is a topic we are not supposed to dig into right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Guy, you earlier on hinted on self-acceptance, some of the struggles that you had to go through school, and you said that sometimes you look for external help, yet the help comes from within you. Could the both of you highlight more on that self-acceptance and you giving yourself the self-help that you meant?
I think it all starts with loving yourself so much that people will look at you and be like, you actually really take care of yourself. You actually really like who you are. And a lot of the times the reasons as to why we don't like ourselves is because there's a lot of external things that we are taking in and absorbing and agreeing with and accepting, or really bending down for. And you as a person has to understand what it is that you want, how much of that noise you can take in, and what really is not important. And a lot of times as human beings, naturally we are made to fear, but fear is not really real. So a lot of the times your friend, like I told you earlier on, how they say the moment you're labeled gay, then that is it. That's the beginning of failed masculinity. So you're already scared, like, yo, I failed the men. But then when you understand that really the whole idea of being a man is just a set of stereotypes, then somehow you start to perceive things. So there's need to be extremely knowledgeable, but on top of that there's also a lot of reason for you to love yourself no matter what, and be really kind, because we're self-critics. We will criticize ourselves for not looking right, for not looking like the guys on Instagram and all that. But yeah.
And in my experience, I had a friend who told me that when they were in school and assumed gay, just random stereotypes, when the stereotypes that make people think that one is gay, and they were taken to a pastor for conversion therapy. You know what conversion therapy is? Yeah. And the pastor was showing them pornography, but as well as the pastor, like even the pastor sexually assaulted this person. You think you're saving somebody, you think you're helping a child, you send them to a conversion therapy, and the pastor, people in power, are showing them pornography at a very young, tender age. And this has developed a lot of internalized homophobia, a lot of self-hate, and yet the world just becomes a little bit better when you accept yourself, when you love yourself, when you get to know who you are. It's a step. It's a little step, but it's a step. When you get to know who you are, you love yourself, you accept yourself. After accepting yourself, whatever they throw at you usually bounces back. You're like, yeah, that's just background noise. Yeah.
Furthermore, how do you think can we create a more inclusive and accepting environment to all gender expressions within Africa?
For starters, let's talk about churches. The congregation, churches have bigger platforms to talk to people. In Africa, we believe a lot in religion more than we believe in God. So if most people are coming to you, to your platform, be a little kind enough to talk to parents. Be like, oh, if your child is different, accept them. Because at the end of the day, we are all loved by the same God. Yeah. So if there is something different about your child, we don't throw away kids because they're disabled. We don't throw away kids on the autistic spectrum. So if somebody is LGBTQ and they're part of your family, just accept them. And these bigger platforms, for example, media houses. When a media house has hosted an LGBTQ person, they should be able to protect them legally so that their identity is not put out there or their sexuality is not aired on air, and still listen without bias. Ask them what is going on in their community so that people have more information about the community other than assumptions. You get it?
I think I'll just start from there. Do not assume, because assumptions create expectations, and expectations are just like that doorway to disappointment and all sorts of misfortune. And I think society should be open-minded, extremely open-minded to relearning, unlearning, and learning new things. Because dealing with a closed-minded or a fixed-minded individual or society is so difficult. Even if we are going to use avenues of like church and places where but if the general society and their perception is really like this, it's going to be such a steep uphill climb to get some changes. But we are making progress, which is steady, and it's not wavering so much, because the waves come and go. There'll be this noise, then that will die out, then there'll be the other noise and that will die out. But what's happening is people are starting to learn to be tolerant. They're starting to learn that a lot of these things are not as we thought they are. And the beauty is now we have the internet, an open source for information, but it's also an open source for misinformation. So it's tricky, but it's achievable if there's more things like this where we're going to pass on the correct message. We are going to show people that or tell people that it's okay to be who you are, the way you are. There's nothing wrong. You're well equipped. You came here to do this and you're doing just fine.
Yeah, and I believe we lost a fight with the bill, but we did not lose the war. So if you're out there and you want to express yourself and you want to be yourself, you just have to be still careful, because you can lose your life right now. Because what I don't understand, what was the agenda of the bill? To create chaos and mob justice. So all we can do is stick together, work harder, and keep fighting. Keep fighting. Yeah, keep fighting, because we lost a small fight, not the war. And Africa is going to be a better place for us. And I believe Uganda is going to make that difference, actually, because we are more knowledgeable about
and tolerant.
Yeah.
We're so tolerant. I mean, there's someone we've put up with for 30 years.
And accommodative. I'm not going to get political. And accommodative, but if you are out there and you're queer, or maybe not queer, or you gender fluid, or you express differently, even don't mind about your political affiliation, your religious affiliation, your culture background. Are you happy? That is what matters. Look at yourself. Look at yourself if you're happy. And then that happiness will be portrayed back to the world.
Yeah, there's a way the society has really made it, like, pumped it into you that, you're on the other side of the spectrum.
You're inadequate.
You're out there. So that in itself gives you the energy to strive, to be better, to work harder, to overly compensate. Like,
and keep slaying. Queens and kings out there, keep slaying.
All right. Thank you so much, Sanie. Thank you so much, Guy.
You're welcome.
This has been episode 4 of the Das Podcast. My name is Black Pepper. Make sure that you subscribe and follow for more. Thank you.
You don't want to miss the interesting conversations on Demystifying the African Sexuality podcast. The Das Podcast.